Is it possible to actually deconstruct patriarchy? It is, if we understand the ideology that built this invisible structure behind our society and start to take off that patriarchal lens, because now we can actually see it based on being able to see the ideology that built the structure. In episode 4, or whatever it is at this point, I don't know, I'm losing track since I'm dividing these up. But in one of our episodes, we are going to talk more about what deconstruction actually is. It is a philosophical term that has been adopted by the evangelicals that are coming out of that very fundamentalist right-wing evangelical, Christian nationalist movement. That's where it's become so popular right now. Maybe you're joining me from that movement, so hello and you're welcome here. Today, we're actually just going to take a quick look at why my definition of patriarchy might feel so different. And it's because of we're looking at the ideology, not necessarily the events. Remember, this is episode 1D, so the full episode was episode 1, but I decided to divide the episodes up because there was 4 main points and they were super meaty. And this way you can take them in bite size and work with them a little bit better. And also remember to stay to the end so that we can work on your golden nugget. I have a poignant question for you, and I want to give you an exercise, of course, to leave, so that you can incorporate this material a little deeper into your embodied existence. Now that we have a framework for understanding the invisible foundation of patriarchy that creates our society, I want to talk about how this might feel different than how other people use the word patriarchy and their understanding of patriarchy. I am more interested in the ideas that built patriarchy, not in the facts or events that occurred because of these ideas. It is working with the ideas that we will be able to actually deconstruct from patriarchy. Let me read this excerpt from Gerda Lerner's book, The Creation of Patriarchy. What is the relationship of ideas, and specifically of ideas about gender, to the social and economic forces that shape history? The matrix of any idea is reality. People cannot conceive of something they have not themselves experienced, or at least that others have before them experienced. Thus, images, metaphors, myths all find expression in forms which are prefigured throughout our past experiences. In periods of change, people reinterpret these symbols in new ways, which then lead to new combinations and new insight. What Gerda Lerner is attempting to do in her book is to trace by means of historical evidence the development of ideas, symbols, and metaphors by which patriarchal gender relations were incorporated into Western civilization. In other words, she's more interested in how the reality that we live in today has been shaped by these ideas of the past. Where do our ideas come from? They come from our story. Where do our stories come from? They come from our experience or the experience of people in the past passing down those experiences to us in their stories. In the end, our experiences shape our stories, which shape our ideas, which then therefore shape our cultural DNA. And it is this cultural DNA, as you heard me talk about in the trailer, that tells us how we are supposed to think, act, and behave within the narrowly defined gender role that we are given at birth. So why does any of this matter? Why am I diving into this book with so much depth in this first foundational video that we're doing together? It's because she actually gives us hope. Gerda Lerner talks about how creating patriarchy was not a man-driven thing, but it was a co-creation of the society at the time, of those matrifocal or matrilineal partnership societies at that time. They co-created patriarchy. So if we co-created patriarchy together, guess what? We can co-create our way out of this. That's the hope that I have for all of us. Knowing this, I hope we can shift that blame game to empowerment from women and men. All right, we have captured a lot today. We have understood from the etymology what the root word of patriarchy means. We understand why matriarchy is not the way we want to go, but we want to go towards more partnership societies. We looked at the 10 steps Gerda Lerner outlines in her book, The Creation of Patriarchy, that allowed us to get into the ideology of the invisible framework of our society. And we've also looked at the dangers or the effects that patriarchy has on both men and everybody else in society. Knowing all of this, I really hope that you can start to shift your perspective of being able to see the world through this patriarchal lens and actually see the hope that I see when we strip away that lens and be able to look back at history and thus the present and the future through a different lens. And that's what we're going to be working on doing in an even deeper way throughout the rest of the series and always on this channel. All right, that wraps up episode 1 in 4 parts. What is your golden nugget from this section? Why do you think the definition that I'm using of patriarchy feels so different for you? As you go about the rest of your day and week until we see each other again, I want you to think back also over these last 4 episodes and think about how these 4 main points, that the definition of patriarchy and why we don't want matriarchy, the 10 steps it took to get into creating patriarchy over 2,500 years, how patriarchy affects men, why my definition of patriarchy might feel different, and really think about how you can apply this to your life and how these 4 points have already helped you starting to see the world in a different light. Has it? Hopefully it has. What hope do you see now that you didn't see before watching these 4 episodes? Leave me your comment down below, and a reminder to join us for our live Q&A on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Until then, see you later. Toodaloo. So much love. Bye-bye. Say that 5 times fast. No, don't say that 5 times fast. Okay.